Hi, this is Tony Reid with Rattling the Cage for Tap Out MMA Worldwide Magazine. Joined here by Mr. Greg Jackson. Greg, how are you doing today? That is Greg Jackson. As if he needed any introduction, right? I would need the introduction, not him. So we'll just jump into some questions here. So how did you go from the kicking tree in your backyard to building one of, if not the most successful, elite, most reputable gyms in existence?
That's a very good question. I guess a lot of luck. I was very, very lucky to work with some very, very amazing fighters. First in kind of the bare knuckle era, then through kind of the Grappler's Quest early days, and then King of the Cage, and then the UFC. So I guess I'm just lucky that I was surrounded by great athletes and other great coaches that helped me out. Just in the right place at the right time.
I know you said, I was looking at some background, some backstory. I know you said you kind of started training because you kind of grew up in a tough neighborhood in Albuquerque, a tough area. Just talk about what you did or your first introduction to the martial arts at that point in your life.
Well, the martial arts for me were always a kind of just a tool to survive. You know, I always say I didn't watch a Bruce Lee movie and get inspired or anything. I just didn't want to get beat up. And so that was kind of my motivation to begin training. And then I got okay at defending myself. I did pretty well, and other people wanted to know how I was doing what I was doing. And so I opened my first school up at 17 to kind of teach my friends and some other people that were interested in defending themselves the way I was, and it kind of snowballed from there.
I know you said you watched UFC 1 and you saw Royce Gracie, obviously Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. What did that mean to you? How did that inspire you?
Well, you know, the Gracie family are just true innovators, and they're amazing people. I'm lucky enough to be friends with some of them, and they're amazing people and amazing fighters. And yeah, they were, you know, PhDs, and I was in kindergarten, and so I had to work to catch up to that. And you know, it's been one of my great treats throughout life to meet some of my heroes like Henzo and Royce, and you know, these great guys that have helped you know, from the 20s on shape an art that we all do.
So you've had 10 plus world champions. You know, we're talking UFC, grappling, just any aspect of the sport. You've had champions. You've trained successful athletes. What is the one moment as a trainer that you're most proud of, if you could even pick one out of the thousands and thousands?
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's been so many thousands of just corners, not to mention the grappling matches and all that stuff. So I think,
kind of pops.
You know, I think that I'm just proud to be associated with it. I think there's not one moment that sits out, but just kind of a pride of those are my friends and I get to help them. So I guess I'm proud that I get to do what I love and help my friends out.
Absolutely. So with all the success comes some scrutiny, whether it be from fans, fighters, even UFC brass. How do you handle the negativity thrown your way and being under such a microscope all the time? It seems like every action, you're in a corner and you say something and it's worldwide news. You talk to someone post-fight or pre-fight, and it's like, how do you
well, the whole thing,
skin, or is it just,
I guess the whole thing is just kind of silly to me. Like, the people that say those things don't know me, you know what I mean? Like, fame is a weird thing. I'm not famous at all, really, but it's an odd thing because what you have is people that are experts on you that don't know you at all. And so I guess take it too personally. I mean, if it was one of my friends, you know, then it gets personal, like when Rashad and stuff, that was very hard. But overall, I mean, you know, saying most of the stuff they say just isn't true. So it doesn't really bother me, I guess, you know what I mean? And with any kind of success, you're going to get that stuff. So you know, it has its job. It entertains people, and so if you're entertained by hating me every morning, but hey, more power to you. Get entertained.
Yeah. Speaking of the whole Rashad Bones Jones fallout, most MMA gyms, large successful ones, even small ones, consider themselves a family because all the time they spend together, the blood, sweat, and tears, time outside the cage, outside the gym. What was it like to have that type of fallout in your gym, like in your hands? And as a follow-up to that, are you trying to kind of cut that off in the future, maybe like a GSP kind of thing that you could see arising? Are there certain steps you're taking?
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of that situation was my fault. I didn't have the proper protocols in place at that time, because in all the years that I've been doing it, 20 years now almost, and in all that time we've never really had that situation happen. And so I should have had more foresight and put something together before that happened. But you know, it happened. It wasn't fun. We all got through it, and you know, I still love Rashad to death. Now, yeah, but there's going to be no drama with Condit and GSP. It's just, you know, they'll fight and they'll be friends afterwards. So we put in protocols in place now where it's not a big deal.
So when was the last time someone called you Gregory Thomas Jackson?
That would be my mother. See, if I get in trouble when I was a kid, if I got suspended from school for fighting or something, yeah, there was a lot. accent's
That's
coming.
another thing people say, oh, you call guys by their full name in the corner and this, that.
Well, I actually get that. A lot of my cornering comes from both of my parents. It's funny you say that because my dad would never yell at me. My mom, you know, she'd whack me and yell at me, and she was, you know, my dad didn't have to. He would just be like, he would just treat you like you were a dumbass. He would just be like, what? Here's the actions. Here's the consequences. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
And you know, you'd just be like sucked into this little. It would make you feel, I'd rather him hit me, you know? It's just sucked into this little ball. So, you know, I was lucky to have good parents, and a lot of my cornering comes out of that.
So you quote many historically significant people, leaders in, you know, different areas of combat, or just people in all walks of life. Is there one quote that you kind of come back to, or that stands out more than the others of all the books you've read, all the knowledge you have? Is there one quote that kind of sticks out?
There really isn't, I guess, one quote from other people. There's so many great ones from so many wise, way smarter than me, or you know. No, I don't know about that, but I do know that they're much smarter than I am, and so there's so many of them that to pick one would be kind of a disservice to the others. I always try to live my life by just the motto of relentless self-improvement, just relentlessly try to improve myself at all times.
So I've read and I've seen a number of interviews where you said that MMA and just combat sports in general, even the Octagon, is your laboratory. So what's working in the laboratory and what's not right now? I know you said some of the changes are so minute that the average fan wouldn't see it, yet some things are much larger than that. Are there a few things right now that you're like, okay, this is my laboratory, this is working?
Well, it's in the spirit of the arms race in which we all live. I can't say exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't say super secrets, but the laboratory you'll soon see shortly. But yeah, that's what's fun about this is we have empirical data that is in this form of immediate feedback. In other words, we don't have to wait, you don't have to imagine, you don't have to even kind of like what a lot of traditional martial arts did, which is make up, I think this would work because you have this immediate laboratory. Now, of course, there's limitations. We're not groin striking, eye gouging, biting. There's a lot of them that we're not doing, and we don't have any environmental factors outside of the fence itself. In other words, there's no chairs to fall over, etc. So outside of that, in a pure one-on-one combat stance, we have this immediate feedback that makes it such an exciting time to be alive as a martial artist because you have this huge arms race. Everybody, all these brilliant minds, me not being one of them, but he's just working on this problem of how can we get to be the absolute best in one-on-one combat, and to have that immediate yes and no feedback is incredible. It's just an incredible time to be alive.
And you talk about the rhythms and things, and use like musical reference, whether it be jazz and things like that in the Octagon, and just with the martial arts artist, what does being an artist mean to you, just in general?
Well, an artist is like any kind of artist. There's a fighting art, there's a coaching art, there's learning art, there's an art to everything that you do if you do it well. The artist, I guess, is to understand that what you are doing is part of a bigger picture of creativity, meaning that there are these ubiquitous principles that you see in music, that you see in dance, that you see in architecture, that you see in everything. And these principles govern kind of all creativity, and martial arts and combat is definitely in that creativity. So I use Bach as a great example, but the structures that Bach puts in, his cannons, and the way he inverts them or flips them, mirror cannons, grab cannons, all this kind of stuff. We do exactly that stuff in the martial arts. Exactly. It's not like an analogy where, you know, it's like kind of this esoteric be like water thing. It's an actual, okay, see this structure, how it flips over, this structure, how it flips over. It's exactly the same thing. So I think that's what makes art.
So you have so many ideas, interesting thoughts, things along those lines. We'd be hard pressed to cover 1% of them here right now, but one last thing I want to touch on. Can you give me your thoughts on ritualized combat? I heard some very interesting quotes by you and thoughts on ritualized combat. Basically taking it back to the basics, raw basics of everything.
Well, right. So what you know, there's inter and intraspecies combat. So if I'm going to fight a bear, I mean, obviously we have weapons available to us depending on your environment. You have the culture gives us certain parameters, or the environment gives us certain parameters, but everything has parameters. In other words, you have tools available and a problem to solve. With the gladiatorial combat, it's a one-on-one ritualized combat. It's like snakes wrestling. It's non-lethal. There's so many positive things to the competition. You know, it makes you grow as a person. It gives you focus. It has all of this kind of intrinsic social value. It's a part of what the martial arts is. As long as you're getting the whole picture, as long as you're not just training to slug it out, but you know, the martial arts sports or kind of a path to something bigger. That's very important. So that ritualized combat then has to not only encompass all of the things that make competition great, you know, learning to be a good sport and you know, pushing your body and doing all these things, but it should also have some kind of social value to it too, because it's ritualized and because everybody comes to see it. In Rome, the gladiators used to fight to the death sometimes, and one of the aspects of that was that a Roman could learn how to be brave by watching a person accept death and be brave about it. So the Romans were actually learning how to be brave in the face of death by watching these gladiators, and you get to watch how to be courageous or how to be, you know, kick that gear. And that's why people get so excited by exciting fights, is they get inspired by it. There's something about it that really inspires them. So if it has that social value, and then the outside of the training has, outside of the Octagon, the training is, you know, keeping the respect from the traditional martial arts alive, keeping all of these things alive, that's very important as well. So the ritualization of it is kind of a safe way to fight. And as long as it brings this social value to the combat, I think it's an effective kind of social outlet and really helps society out in general.
This guy says he's not brilliant. Are you kidding me? Did you hear this guy?
I'm really drunk.
I couldn't say that he's not. He just got here. I
don't drink.
There you go. So this is Tony Reid signing off. Do you have anything to say before we sign off?
Thanks to my family for all the support.
Tony Reid, Rattling the Cage Tap Out Magazine, Greg Jackson. Thank you so much for your time, sir.